we're going viral. Check out this picture from Joel Embiid's Instagram, rocking a protective mask. Remember, he fractured his face, his orbital bone. Remember, maybe he can get trust the process etched or tattooed somehow into it. What do you think about this look, CC?
I'm not with this one right here. That one right there, I know Rihanna, he made the All-Star team, but that one right, if that got him closer to it, to the date, than the mask,
it up.
Yeah, he went backwards on that one.
Like, how bad do you think his like facial fracture must have been to warrant that?
Oh, well, I mean, he's going to wear, they're going to have a mask for him. Now, I don't think they're going to let him wear this one.
No, you can't wear that kind.
Right. LeBron wore a black mask once when he had to wear one, and the NBA after one game said, no.
They have to be clear.
It has to be clear. I don't know why the NBA has that rule, but they have that rule. Now, I think they should be able to wear whatever color he wants. He should be able to paint it Sixers, red, white, and blue if he wants to, but the NBA doesn't allow it.
Yeah, I don't know if he take a picture before he tried that on, because someone should have cleaned his little nostril. Like he got a little booger in his nose. Like he needs to handle it. What is that?
You're the only one that would have seen that.
Okay, no problem. Look at that. What does that look like?
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Huh? Look like something hanging from the tree.
Notice the most bizarre thing.
Quick, get a close-up.
You know the reason why people show pictures? So you can look at it.
I understand. I'm complimenting you. We show the video of the guy missing the free throw and getting his own rebound. You're talking about player 32 and his lack of a box.
That might happen in the game tonight. I need to know the correct situation.
Joel, I'm surprised you weren't reading the scroll on the TV behind him. Like, it's amazing.
No, because you couldn't read it.
Oh,
You tried. Let's move on. Time for some stories to start your morning. Let's go to Pittsburgh, where Le'Veon Bell and the Steelers are reportedly not far off in negotiations. We haven't said that in a while. The Steelers have increased their offer from what was believed to be $13 million annually, so it seems like the two sides could agree to terms soon. Nick, what do you make of this latest development?
See, if these numbers are accurate, and they were already at 13, and they're moving up slightly, I'm all for players getting all the money they can. That's as good as Le'Veon Bell is going to do. Like, that is, if these numbers are accurate, then the Steelers have already compromised far more than I would have expected them to. If I were advising Le'Veon Bell, assuming the first 2 years are guaranteed, we're talking $13.5, $14 million. Man, that's better than playing under the franchise tag and risking injury and seeing what your value is next year.
Jenna, I'm exhausted in talking about Le'Veon Bell.
I know you are.
And, you know, the years, it's important. The guarantees are important. But Pittsburgh Steelers, man, they don't negotiate in the paper. And this Le'Veon Bell for over a year, that's all we have seen. Like, in the paper, we're close. Oh, I'm leaving. Oh, you guys don't appreciate me. You guys make me out to be a villain. All these comments come from one side of the negotiation. So for me, I would just be quiet and try to get my deal done. And he is a fool to try to leave the Pittsburgh Steelers. He think it's going to be better? He'll go get more money elsewhere, but he's not going to be able to play with the type of offensive players and be in the playoff hunt the way he has been with the Steelers.
All right, on to the NBA last night. The Rockets were in L.A. and beat the Lakers for their 65th win of the season. That's the most in franchise history. However, Rockets head coach Mike D'Antoni had some interesting comments after the game. He says not winning a championship would not diminish what the Rockets have done in the regular season. Nick, you were fired up about this morning in the morning meeting. Tell us why.
It's a tough morning for the Rockets. You get 65th win for just the 21st time of any team in NBA history. So I get what D'Antoni's saying. D'Antoni's saying more teams have won titles than have won 65 games. He's the wrong messenger for this comment, though, with his playoff record and lack of major success. Given who his superstars are, James Harden and Chris Paul, guys I hold in the highest of esteem, but their lack of playoff success. And the other bad news for the Rockets was Luka Sharma dislocates his shoulder. He has been an enormous part of their defensive success. So a tough, kind of bittersweet way to get their 65th.
Yeah, the injury, though, they were due for an injury.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been amazingly healthy. But what'd your friend Del Morey say earlier in the year about Golden State? What did he say about them?
We're obsessed with we're obsessed with the Warriors.
Okay, so what about an organization? You and I met with the owner. Talk to him.
Yeah, tell him Fertitta.
What's the owner doing?
Man, he wants to win a championship his first year as the owner. He's rebuilding Houston, builds a new hotel in Houston, put a new restaurant in Houston. He's trying to follow Leslie Alexander's footsteps as a great owner in Houston. Leslie Alexander got a couple rings as an owner.
Now, why wouldn't the head coach match the same voice, the same thing said from the general manager or the owner? To me, this is not a smart comment. Given your lack of success, given your players' lack of success in the playoff, he should be sending a different message that, no, it's either win a championship or we haven't had a successful season. That's the way it should be in Houston. He didn't communicate that yesterday.
All right, guys, tonight the Cavs host the New York Knicks to close out the season. LeBron says he intends to stick to his zero dark 30 plan of no social media during the playoffs. Just for reference, Nick and I are not sticking to that no social media during the playoffs. CC, how important is it to eliminate distractions once you get to the postseason for LeBron?
I mean, I wish I could see some of LeBron's videos before the game, seeing him warming up, seeing the type of exercise he does, seeing how he trains his body. Man, I would love to see that. But I'm glad that the King realized what's important. And for him, it's trying to win another championship. Twitter, getting into Graham, sliding into a boy.
I love when you talk like that.
Slide into their DMs
Ooh,
and stuff. It doesn't help. Don't help you play defense. Don't help you get no buckets. So, yes, the King and other young players might want to follow his lead.
Yeah, and while it can't help, it can hurt. We've seen guys, arguably the second best player in the world, get thrown off a bit by social media. Like, LeBron's been doing this for years. I would think more of the top players would want to do this as well. Like, it's less about what he's not putting out during the playoffs and more about what he's not taking in. What he's not is he's trying to minimize the noise as much as possible. This is tradition for him. It just the last few years got more notoriety because he gave it the name, the zero dark.
I think LeBron, they're going to have a team meeting and the whole team's going to go zero dark 30. Tristan Thompson is going to be happy about that.
Oh, man.
They coming for your head.
Someone will be. She will be. It has been quite the swing for the 76ers 2 years ago. They won 10 games. Last night, they not only won their 50th game, they were favored by 9.5 over the Hawks. How do I know that? Don't worry about it.
Jenna's gambling.
Sixers winning their franchise record 15th straight game. A win tonight over the Bucks clinches the 3 seed in the East for them. If they lose and Cleveland wins, they would face the Pacers in the first round of the playoffs. Susie, how impressive is this Sixers turnaround?
Oh, it's impressive. It's impressive to have that many talented young players and to have I mean, we asked the question, will Joel Embiid, will he reach his potential? Yeah. Will Ben Simmons, will he reach his? Yeah. Markel being back playing. Man, that's promising. To have all these top-rated players, because most of these players were ranked number 1. All 3 of them were ranked number 1 in their draft class. To have them progressing, to have Joel Embiid to be the superstar, to have Ben Simmons recover from his injury, and to have an injury-free season where he has been a dominant player, and you have seen him evolve, that now he's going from 1 feet to 4 feet as far as his shooting range. Like, this is important. The head coach. The organization to say, man, the process works. The process does work. Now they have some proof in the pudding. So it's very impressive. And the end of the stretch where they've shown some maturity without Joel Embiid.
That's it.
Where they have been able to win in a different type of way, I think is even more impressive than winning the 15 in a row.
The day Joel Embiid went down, I came on TV and said, or I guess the day after, and said, if the Sixers want to stay the 3 seed or be the 3 seed, they're going to have to go undefeated the rest of the season. They're going to have to go 9-0 to finish the season if they are going to be the 3 seed. At that point, we knew Kyrie was questionable, and we now know he's out for the playoffs. We knew how important it was for them to be the 3 seed. And while their schedule was soft, they had a game against Cleveland. They had the tough game tonight against the Bucks coming up. I didn't think they could do it. They're 1 game away from doing it. The extra experience I believe they will get in the postseason by being the 3 seed if they win tonight. First round win, second round win where you will be favored over Boston is invaluable. That's what this kid, that's how Ben Simmons locked up Rookie of the Year. Without Joel Embiid over these last 2 weeks, they have not lost. He's nearly averaging a triple-double. But then the team as a whole, once you get Embiid back, how good are they? Well, since Christmas, they've been the second best team in the NBA. They've had the best defense in the NBA, the best point differential in the NBA. That's a 50-game sample that we're talking about. So I think they're too young and too green to make the finals, to win 3 playoff rounds. But could they win 1 playoff round? Absolutely. Could they win 2 playoff rounds? No. Yeah, they could. And that would be a year or 2 ahead of what I thought was realistic progress for a team that won 28 games last year.
Quickly, just talk about why it's so important for them to land in that 3 seed.
Because, first of all, Indiana's good. We don't talk about them. Oladipo's good. Their coach has been great this year, and Nate McMillan. They're a deep team. Miles Turner's a good player. So you avoid them in the first round. But most importantly, it's round 2. It's that Cleveland now has to play Toronto. If you're the 4 seed, you have to play Toronto and Cleveland, most likely. If you're the 3 seed, you get an injured Boston team, and and then only one of Cleveland or Toronto. That's why tonight's game, it's been an amazing 2 weeks for them. It's been an amazing month for them. They got to win tonight against Milwaukee.
Let's see what that spread is, everybody. To the Western Conference, if I told you the Warriors lost by 40 points last night, your natural reaction would be, I'm sorry, you said 4? To which I'd say, no, 40. To which you then ask me what year it was. Because this year, the way the Warriors were built, the way the Warriors were playing, they weren't supposed to lose any games like this. Last night, their last game of the season against the Utah Jazz, they lost 119-79. Do the math, it's 40 points. They did it without Steph Curry once again in that lineup. The Warriors have now dropped 10 of their last 17 games. They'll be the 2 seed in the Western Conference playoffs behind Houston. CC, how concerning are the Warriors' struggles entering the playoffs now?
I'm not as concerned as most people. There's a couple things I'm concerned about. Concerned about the overall health of Steph. When he comes back, where is he? Is he 80%? Is he 90%? Now, it was very promising the other night to see Steph out on the court before the game, getting some shots up, moving around. So you know it's not going to be too long before he returns. But the other thing that worries me is their inability to be dominant at home. They've been such a special team over the last 3 years at home. Huge home court advantage. And now that they're I think they have the 3rd or 4th best home court record in the West. In the West, yes.
They have
when you
the
look
6th best in the NBA.
Yes, so that's not something. If you look at the season, like, could they be the number 2 seed? You've been like, yeah, they could be the number 2 seed. Would they be that different at home in year 4 than they were in the previous 3 seasons? Been like, no, man, that place, it's hard to win there. Like, for the style for which they play, the way the fans are smart about the way they cheer and everything. So those are things that I do have concern about. But those things go away if Steph is healthy. They have enough talent. And I just believe that they will play with the type of energy because they're championship. This is their 4th playoff run, 4th year in a row going into the playoff. Durant, his 2nd. I didn't see the motivation after they lost contact with Houston. Steph gets hurt. There was nothing really to play for. That's what we're seeing. And we've seen this from other NBA teams. We saw this from Cleveland last year. But as soon as the playoffs, we trusted them to turn it on. Cleveland did get into the finals. I believe that Golden State will be able to turn them on to get them to the Western Conference Finals.
All right, so a couple things. One is they did lose contact with Houston a few weeks ago. But what we didn't think was going to happen a few weeks ago was that they were going to lose contact with Toronto.
Yeah, I don't think that matters, though.
Well, what do you...
If Toronto gets there, they ain't concerned about Toronto having home court advantage.
Okay, all right. I mean, I think they would prefer
if
Toronto makes the finals.
Yeah, I don't think that's a concern for Philadelphia. I know it's not a concern for you. Ain't concerned about Cleveland.
No. I understand that, but that was the second point I was going to make, which is you mentioned Cleveland. The difference between the Warriors this year and the Cavs last year and the last few years, really, is the Warriors have been accustomed to 65-plus wins, home court advantage. And I understand, given the injuries this year, the 65-plus wins were not going to happen. But you can't tell me going into the playoffs, having lost 10 of 17, we're talking about 20% of the season where you were outscored by your opponent. It's the last 20% of the season. And you just got 40 balled
playing your starters, not resting anyone, giving them all the minutes.
30-plus minutes for all the key players on that team.
Also put in there, this is a team that won 2 championships. So going into the playoffs struggling, they know they're champions. They know they have championship pedigree.
But what they don't, here's the thing that I think they needed to know, CC. And I think that maybe they'll be fine. They needed to know we can still be, if not dominant, a really good team without Steph. I would feel differently if Steph were back for round 1. He is not.
No, I told you besides Steph, all right, losing at home, those are concerns. If Steph is healthy, then there wouldn't be no concern for me.
Oh, sure, but the reason this sticks out to me is I think they needed to, at the very least in this last week of the season, get back in some sort of rhythm so they could say, hey, our blueprint for winning without Steph is our offense won't be as good, but we'll have lockdown defense. Their defense has been worse without Steph.
Right.
And now they're going into the playoffs where in the first round they're not going to have Steph. It's concerning the way they play.
Warriors are 16-9 when Kevin Durant plays and Steph doesn't. On the flip side, 8-0 when Steph plays and KD doesn't. Yep. Interesting note. Coming up, is it time for Josh Rosen to just stop talking for like 5 seconds? It's next on First Things First.